What up? Welcome back to another video. Today we're not covering a commander deck list. We're talking about my most anticipated cards from Lorwyn Eclipsed because the set is kind of sick. And I was looking through cards, I'm watching people play content, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. So yeah, I went through the card set, picked out a bunch of cards that I think really fit for commander. More generic stuff. There's some cards that I look at, I'm like, oh, this is perfect in this one deck I play, but it's not gonna be in the list because this is more broad. So yeah, going Wooburg order. First, we got Morning Tide's Light. I think this is a great mono white finisher, so white and 3, exile any number of target creatures at the beginning of the next end set, return them to the battlefield tapped under their owner's controls until your next turn, prevent all damage that would be dealt to you, and then you exile it. So it can protect you, it can just blink out all of your opponent's creatures, and then you can swing for game on an empty board. If not, you can just flicker all your own creatures, and then you can't take damage till your next turn too. So yeah, I think this card is sick. Also not going to be talking about prices because this is still pre-sale. I'm recording this today. It's being uploaded on the 13th. So yeah, prices are kind of irrelevant to what I'm talking about right now. Just proxy cards if you want to. Next card, Winnowing. 6 mana, another kind of board wipe. Well, this one is a board wipe. Last one, not as much. It has convoke though, which is really cool. So your creatures can help cast a spell by tapping. It can pay for one of the colors or a generic. And then for each player, choose a creature that player controls. Each player sacrifices all other creatures they control that don't share a creature type with the chosen creature they control. So pretty much for each person, you're picking one of their off creatures and then just killing the rest of their types. Now obviously this isn't as good in the decks like Elf Tribal or something, but you know, maybe you live the Crater Hoof Behemoth turn and then you just pick that and all their elves go away. I don't know. Also, if you're playing shapeshifters or you're playing your own theme, obviously this is very good for you. It can go towards more of a one-sided board wipe, and the convoke cost means that any of the creatures that you don't want to save, you can just pay to cast for the card. So yeah, this card, super duper good. On the blue cards, a bunch of blue cards. They're typically all related to playing creature types. But yeah, so this one, 6 mana, convoke. Choose a creature type, draw a card for each permanent you control of that type. Obviously, this is very good in any tribal deck. I mean, I've been playing a lot of Wan Chitong mono blue spirits recently, and yeah, you know, having all your spirits tap for the 4 generic and then drawing like 20 cards, kind of good. Yeah, 2 mana, draw a lot of cards, pretty good. Also, if you have more colored creatures, you can tap those. Like, yeah, 1 mana, 0 mana, draw 5-10 cards. Pretty insane at instant speed, no less. So you can respond to like a board wipe with this. Next, Mirrorform. This card I think is kind of just sick. I haven't found a crazy way to use it, but there's probably so many that it doesn't matter. Each non-land permanent you control becomes a copy of target non-aura permanent. So just all your non-land permanents can become, I don't know, a massive card that maybe your opponent played on the last turn, or a crazy good artifact or enchantment. I don't know. Either way, yeah. They don't enter as that, so you gotta play around with stuff like ETBs, but yeah, this will just make all your things into one thing, and that can be really, really crazy at times. Omni Changeling. I think this card is probably a little slept on. It also probably isn't as good as the other cards I've talked about so far, but it's a Changeling, so it's every creature type, has convoke for the casting spell, casting cost, and you may have this creature enter as a copy of any creature on the battlefield except it has Changeling. This is essentially like just a reduced cost clone effect if you have multiple cards on board that you're willing to tap for this. I think the best clone cards, and it's either things that don't care or don't keep the legendary status. So it's things like Spark Double or Chameleon, which keep their name. Alternatively, Flesh Duplicant, things that cost less than 4, which is the standard clone rate, and this just hits that mark for me. So yeah, I think this card is really, really good. Next card, Rimefire Torque. 2 mana, as it enters, shoots creature type. Whenever a permanent you control of the chosen type enters, put a charge counter, and you can tap, remove 3 charge counters, and then when you next cast your instant or sorcery spell, you copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. Obviously in blue, you're doing like mono blue spirits again. You can just always have 3 charge counters, and then whenever you need to, tap this to just like copy a counter spell or copy a draw spell or whatever it may be. I mean, yeah, anything that's playing or generating a lot of permanents of the same type. Just being able to copy any spell, and it's in blue, so you know, copying counter spells too. Usually really, really good. Next up, I mean, this is like probably the hypest card of the set. Bitterbloom Bearer. It's just the reference to Blitter Blossom. It's a 2 mana 1/1 flash flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose a life, make a 1/1 blue and black fairy creature token with flying. Exactly the same thing as Bitter Blossom, but it's on a creature, which I think makes it a little worse if I'm being honest, but maybe the flash makes up for the creature part. I'm not sure. Yeah, this card super duper good, obviously. Cheap way to make tokens every turn. And it's in black, which are colors that use tokens. Also, unfortunately, I guess double Black Pip is a little worse than Black Pip in one. I'd probably still play Bitter Blossom over Bitterbloom Bearer, unless I specifically care about fairies. But Bitter Blossom is still a tribal enchantment, so yeah. Either way, it's a super good card. Bitter Blossom has been an extremely good card, and I expect Bitterbloom Bearer to be the same. Next up, Bloodline Bidding. This is an 8 mana convoke. Choose creature type, return all creature cards of the chosen type from your graveyard to the battlefield. I might just be like convoke coded with tribal decks right now, I'm not sure, but it feels like all the cards that I'm really excited for, like this is a 8 mana but can be reduced for mass reanimation effect from your graveyard. Let's say you're playing like, I don't know, mono black demons or mono black whatever. Black, be playing black red goblins for this, and then, you know, have all your goblin tokens help with the convoke cost, and then bring all your goblins back. Yeah, I think mass reanimation, I mean, you look at what Rise of the Dark Realms, very good card. Obviously it brings back cards from your opponent's decks too, but yeah, this is the same kind of, but it only works for your graveyard. But if you're playing like a big mill strategy or something, it's perfectly good. Twilight Diviner, I think this is probably the card I'm looking forward to playing the most in the set. So it's a 3 mana 3/3 when it enters Surveil 2, which is obviously already pretty good. And then whenever one or more other creatures you control enter, if they entered or weren't cast from a graveyard, or were cast from a graveyard, you make a token that's a copy of one of them. It only triggers once each turn. So essentially, every turn when you're bringing something back from your graveyard, either through cast or through reanimate effects, whatever it may be, you just get a copy of it. This is crazy. Next week, I'm going to be having a Foundations deck list coming out with Alesha. And this card, I was testing in the deck, and I'm like, wow, this is wild. I reanimate a 7 mana guy, and I just get another one. And they probably have pretty good ETBs because they're 7 mana creatures. If not, you let me untap, and it's like, yeah. I think this card is super duper good. It should probably go in like every reanimator deck, period. I'll definitely be putting this in my Mardu Lady Terra from Final Fantasy, but yeah, this card is wild. Extremely good card. Next up, red cards. We got Goliath Daydreamer. I don't know how amazing this card is, but I think he's really neat, so that's why I'm talking about it. 4 mana 4/4. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, exile the card with a dream counter on it instead of putting it in your graveyard as it resolves. And whenever this creature attacks, you may cast a spell from among cards you own in exile with dream counters on them without paying its mana cost. So you cast instants and sorceries, they get exiled with the Goliath Daydreamer, and then when he attacks, you can recast those instants and sorceries for free, no less. I'm pretty sure it doesn't cheat cost, unfortunately, so, or it doesn't like let you do, I don't know, all of them in the same turn, I don't think. But if it did, that'd be even better. If not, I don't know, you just have like free big spells that you're casting whenever he attacks, which is also pretty sick. On to the next one, a Lava Leaper, 4 mana 4/4. All creatures have haste. It's already a pretty good effect. I mean, it's in red, so it's not that crazy to have. But whenever a player taps basic land for mana, that player adds 1 mana of any type that land produced. This is good for, I think, mono red strategies. It specifically hits basics, so if your opponents are on like 3 color and just not playing any basics because they're commander players and they're greedy and you love playing Blood Moon and stuff, I think this card is also perfectly good. Just lets you double your mana. Red, obviously, I think the worst color when it comes to ramping, so this kind of helps with that. And the all creatures have haste can help if you're, I don't know, playing like big red scary guys that want to come in and swing on the turn they're played. Scuzzback Scrounger, 2 mana 3/2. At the beginning of your first main phase, you may blight 1. If you make a treasure token, I think this card is just extremely efficient in higher power formats. Turn 3, let's say without mana rocks, you're playing with 3 mana instead, or 4 mana instead of 3. Turn 4, etc. It just builds up. And if you can keep supplying creatures to blight 1, even if you're losing the creatures after, you're just... Any card that says like sack a creature, make a treasure token once per turn, or in Soul Trader for example, it's a really good card. So I think this card is perfectly, like, I wouldn't be surprised if this saw play in even maybe like CDH, where you could like bring this out turn 1 with Mox whatever land and then give them a blight counter. You have 4 mana on turn 2, and that's only with what, 1 starting mana rock. So yeah, I think this card is really, really good. On to another card that kind of cheats with mana is Soulbright Seeker. As additional cost to cast a spell, behold an elemental or pay 2. So unfortunately, most likely going to be need to be playing elementals. And then for a red, you can give a creature trample until end of turn, and then if you've done this 3 times, you add 4 red. So each turn you pay 3 red to make 4 red. So you're just generating an extra red every turn, as long as you have the red to pay for Soulbright Seeker. Again, it's just fast mana in red, which is really good for red. Obviously, the beholding an elemental or paying 2 is a big downside, so it's not really 1 mana unless you're playing elementals, which most strategies aren't, but some strategies might be. So yeah, I think this card, really cool way to cheat on mana in red. And then Spinerock Tyrant. This is not specific to elementals. He's just a big guy. He's a 5 mana 6/6 flying wither, so he deals damage through 1/1 counters instead of damage. And whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell with a single target, you may copy it. If you do, those spells gain wither. You may choose new targets for the copy. So let's say you cast a lightning bolt, make another lightning bolt, but it does damage to 1/1 counters. So this is now a 1 mana spell that gives something -3/-3. Notably, black has stab, which is 1 mana -2/-2. Yeah, this card's really cool. Also, if you're playing it on like lightning helix or something, you're getting double heals off of the lightning helix as well. So yeah, I think this card really, really cool in like red burn strategies, because then you can also kind of hit creatures and control the board a little bit. Or you can really just like, I don't know, double ping something in the head with lightning bolt and deal 6. It's also pretty good. On to green, we got Champions of the Perfect. I have Beast Whisperer here as my friend to help me explain the card or compare the card. As initial cost to cast a spell, behold an elf and exile it. Obviously, this is one of those other ones where you're going to need to be playing enough elves in the deck to play Champion of the Perfect. But whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card, and whenever he leaves the battlefield, return the exiled card to its owner's hand. This is pretty much just Beast Whisper, but with a little bit of an extra cost in beholding an elf, where just, yeah, whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. Except he's a 6/6 instead of a 2/3, so there's that to it. Obviously, these cards also do have the big downside where, as an additional cost of casting it, you have to exile a card, and then if the card gets counterspelled, the card you've exiled with Champions of the Perfect will not come back to your hand because it never entered the battlefield in the first place. But if it doesn't get counterspelled, yeah, this is Beast Whisper but a 6/6 instead. So that's pretty good, because Beast Whisper, already a really good card. Formidable Speaker. This was, I think, one of the really early previewed cards of the set. 3 mana, when it enters, you may discard a card. If you do, search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it in your hand, and shuffle. You can also pay 1 tap to untap permanent. This is kind of just a survival of the fittest effect, but on a creature. Survival of the fittest obviously does the same thing. Discard a creature card specifically, though, and then you get a creature card. This lets you discard any creature, or any card, which is even better. And the pay 1 tap to untap another target permanent is really useful. I saw this card and I'm like, ooh, untapper. That's really good for my Selesnya stack Selvala deck. Unfortunately, this card a little pricey, but that's what proxies are for. And yeah, it also can just find you a card to play on your, I don't know, later turn or next turn, whatever. So yeah, this card, super duper good. I mean, what a surprise. Creature tutors are good. Selfless Safe Right, 5 mana 4/2. A little expensive, but he has Flash Convoke, so you can cheat on the cost. Whenever this creature enters, choose a creature type. Other permanents you control of that type gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Obviously, this is very good for tribal decks. You can tap down your elves, and somebody's going to board wipe the board, protect them all. Alternatively, you can tap down your not elves and then play him, and then choose elf, and then all your elves are still protected. and then you just lose the creatures that you would have lost anyways, and keep your elves untapped. But yeah, this card, just a good protection card. Kind of similar to Heroic Intervention, but a little more specific. But it can also be free if you just have enough creatures on board, so there's that. On to Virulent Emissary. Yeah, that's how it's pronounced. This is Essence Warden and Soul Warden, but Death Touch. Yeah. Whenever another creature you control enters, gain 1 life. I guess it's you instead of any player. It's still very good. I think all life gain decks still play the whenever creature you control enters, you gain a life cards. So yeah, it's kind of like an Essence Warden, a Soul Warden, but it also has Death Touch, so it's harder to swing into. This card is just good. There's a little bit of downside, but also the Death Touch is a pretty big upside. On to the multicolored cards. First we got Brigid, Clachan's Heart, also Brigid, Dune's Mind. It flips. So white Brigid is whenever it enters or transforms, you make a 1/1 green-white Kithkin, and then at the beginning of your first main, you can pay a green if you transform it. A bunch of cards have this effect. Transform Brigid, notably it's transformed so it doesn't have summoning sickness, is tap to add X green or X white, where X is the number of other creatures you control. So obviously in any go wide deck, Kithkins, I mean, you could probably play this in like Selesnya Elves. I'll probably play this in my Selesnya Selvala deck just because I go wide so quickly. You just make a bunch of mana with this card, and I mean, what, it's 3 mana. It has a decent body attached to it too. It makes a token as well. I think this card is probably one of the better mana dorks that they've printed in a recent while. I mean, I think it's the same as like tap for 4 when you have like power 4 on board, for example. Probably comparable. Next we got Bre of Clan Stoutarm. I think this card's kind of sick. I mean, I'm gonna assume this is Brian Stoutarm's daughter because it's of Clan Stoutarm. Maybe they're just in the same clan. I'm not sure. Bre of Clan Stoutarm, they're a 4/4, pay 2 tap, another creature gains flying and lifelink, and then at the beginning of the end step, if you gain life this turn, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile an online card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost if the spell's mana value is less than or equal to the amount of life you gained this turn, otherwise put it into your hand. So it's just free card advantage at the end of turn, or you're casting the card for free. You have to give a creature flying and lifelink, but the evasion helps with getting the damage through to players. Very similar, or very different to Brian. Brian, much more aggressive, just sacrificing creatures to throw them at people. Bre kind of raising and nurturing pets. Also the art, I just think this card is sick because I know Brian Stoutarm. I'm like, oh, that's cool, it's a reference. And Brian Stoutarm, originally from Lorwyn, what a surprise. Next up, Dream Harvest. This card's really expensive, but I think it's really good. 7 mana, mainly in Commander, not other formats I don't think, but yeah. So yeah, 7 mana, each opponent exiles cards from the top of their libraries until they have exiled cards with total mana value 5 or greater this way. Until end of turn, you may cast cards exiled this way without paying their mana costs. So for 7 mana, you're getting guaranteed at least 15 mana worth of cards. Probably more, because players aren't hitting exactly 5 mana. You know, they'll be at 4 and they'll flip like a 3 or something, and oh, there's 7 mana of cards instead. Yeah, I think this card is like pretty sick. It's like a lot of value for 7 mana. It's 7 mana, but it's a lot of value for 7 mana. So this card can kind of do cool stuff. Rating schemes. As non-creature spells you cast have Conspire. So this is, as you cast a non-creature spell, you may tap 2 untap creatures you control that share color with it. When you do copy it, and you may choose new targets for the copy, a copy of a permanent spell becomes a token. So you can just make copies of whatever, enchantments, instant sorceries, artifacts, just whatever. Unfortunately, for artifacts, you'd have to be playing color, or artifacts with color, because you have to tap 2 creatures of that share color. But I mean, that's not the end of the world. Also, you're red-green, so yeah, you probably play this in enchantment decks if I had to guess. And then you just tap your creatures to double your enchantments, which is probably pretty crazy. On to the next card, Tam, Mindful First Year. I think this card probably goes in most decks. It's a 2 mana 2/2. Each other creature you control has hexproof from each of its colors, and you can tap it to give target creature you control all colors until end of turn, so just hexproof besides colorless. Yeah, this card is just a really good protection card. Obviously, you're locked in Simic, but there's the Vivid mechanic from this set, which cares about you playing a bunch of colors. So, you know, you play this in like a 5-color deck or something. You can give Joda just hexproof from everything, which is pretty neat. The more colors you're playing, the better this card becomes, I think. And then Gathering Stone onto the artifacts. As it enters, choose a creature type. Spells of the chosen type cost 1 less to cast. Whenever this artifact enters and at the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's a card of the chosen type, you may reveal it and put it in your hand. If you don't put that card in your hand, you may put it into your graveyard. This is very similar to, what's it called, like Horn of Gondor or something? The 3-mana artifact that reduces your creature spells by whatever type, or by 1, and then at the beginning of your upkeep, you can flip the card. If it's that creature type, you can add it to your hand. This is very similar, but it's 4-mana instead. And you can also just put the card in your graveyard if you don't need it, which I think makes it a little bit better. I mean, 4 mana, a little bit worse, but yeah, give and take. This card, I mean, as an uncommon, I think it's a really, really good card. And then Mirrormind Crown is a 4 mana. As long as this equipment is attached to a creature, the first time you create 1 or more tokens each turn, you may instead create that many tokens that are copies of a equipped creature, and it's equipped too. Anything that lets you change out copies you make for just something else on board. Any deck, I think, that can synergistically have like, oh yeah, if I could play 20 of this one creature, I would do it every time. This is like an auto-include in that deck. I might put it in Wanshitong, because, you know, you make 2 spirits, and then instead you're making 2 of a creature instead. The creatures aren't as good, but yeah. You could play this in like elf decks, and instead of making 1/1 elf tokens, you could just be making 1/1 not elf tokens, but elf creatures that can do cool things like Priest of Titania or whatever else. But yeah, that's it. Those are the cool Lorwyn Eclipsed card. Let me know what you think. If you're building any commanders from this set, let me know, because I think this set really, really cool. But until next time, bye bye.